Hey, welcome everyone to Productive Agent Podcast. I'm your host, Rob Aubrey. Podcast is powered by Aubrey Home Loans. And so we have a special guest today, Kevin Nash. Kevin is, I've known Kevin a long time. He is owner, operator of Above the Crowd Photography. And Kevin's been doing real estate photography for 18 years. So I think he knows a little bit about it. So, so welcome to the podcast, Kevin.
Thanks, Rob. Good to talk to you.
Yeah, you as well. So one of the things I wanted to ask you, Kevin, we wanted to just get the ball rolling is, what are some do's and don'ts of real estate photography? Because real estate photography is different than, say, portrait type photography, wedding photography.
Right, correct.
Right. So, give us some insight on what the difference is anyway.
So, well, one biggest thing for me is that real estate photography is a lot easier because the houses don't move, make faces.
Right. Yeah, right.
So,
For starters, right?
Kids and yeah. So, but yeah, it's, like photography in general, it's about the lighting. So homes, it makes a big deal, just like with photography. Portraits, you just have to get your lighting right, know what you're doing, and composition.
Right.
Anybody can take a photo.
Oh yeah. And well, we've seen those on the MLS.
Yes.
Yeah. Where you can say, oh yeah, that's not a professional photo, that's for sure.
And I know one thing is the cameras, phones have come a long way.
Sure.
They're still limited to what they can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So agents, so what would you say some of the things, like obviously you're in photography, real estate photography, chat groups and whatnot. So what would you say some of the things you hear, like the major do nots, when, preparing for photos, what should it be?
Right. Okay. So the biggest complaint that I hear and that I get is when a photographer shows up and the house isn't ready. Like there's stuff all over the place. There's landscapers or someone cutting the yard. There's grass clippings. It's like, it's just not being ready. They should be, when a photographer shows up, it should be good to go. They can just walk through, do what they need to do. I mean, there are some exceptions. Once in a while, there'll be things in a room that people want to move, like a crib or, minimal, but you want the photographer to be able to get in and out as quick as possible without having to wait around.
Right.
I think if you thought of a photographer as a plumber getting paid by the hour, it's like you'd probably be a lot quicker and more prepared.
Right.
Where there's a lot of time where the photographer will be standing around waiting for a room to be cleaned or something moved.
Yeah, that's got to be annoying.
Yeah. So I know the best thing for a photographer is a vacant home that's been staged and nobody's there.
Right.
Those are
and
our
the lights
favorites.
work. And the lights all work.
Lights all work and all the same color temperature too. That's a huge thing, is when you come into a house and you've got 4 different color temperatures, you got yellows in one corner, white lights in another.
Right.
All different. Yeah. So that's
you have your LEDs and then you have your fluorescents,
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah, just my kitchen, I have the big fluorescents, I haven't switched those over yet. It was
each light has a different color temperature, and it shows in the photos. So the photographer has to go in and edit and just change the coloring in the photo in a closet or a corner or a room just off of the shoot.
Right. Yeah, somebody doesn't pay attention to the closet light bulbs as much as they do the rest, right?
Correct.
Yeah, for things that I always see are like on Airbnb especially, it's like I don't think they ever lower a toilet seat. It's like come on, put the seat down, I mean, same thing with like a washer lid, I see the lid up on the washer, it's like, come on.
So yeah, you go into a house and there's stuff piled in the sink or, stock still on the dresser, or Yeah, it's just little things that people don't usually really pay attention to or think about. So it's good to just do a walkthrough as the agent, just kind of look at it from the photographer's perspective. Just stand at the
Right.
doorway, just kind of do a scan through the room. A big thing is bright colors, reds and oranges really pop out. So it's like you're shooting a room and you got an orange towel sitting, on the bed or something. It'll really pop out in photos.
Right. And then that becomes the focal point. And
Right.
then what the focal point says is, well, they're not neat. And when a
Right.
house is not neat, when you're looking at a house, neat houses, I mean, when I say neat, neat as a pin type thing, they're like, they're more appealing.
Right. Yeah.
Nobody
Well,
likes walking through a cluttered house,
no, no, not at all.
Yeah, I've been through, I remember one time years ago, it was a hoarder house, and it was for investors only, cash only,
Yeah.
type deal. And you had, like, there was a 2-hour window on a Saturday. I went out there to do, like, it was so disgusting. And there was no photos, but literally you had to walk through paths of
Yeah.
stuff.
Right.
And so, that, like, the kitchen was disgusting. So when I opened up the bathroom door, I didn't even go in. I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm taking notes from my investor client. Needs new bathroom. I wasn't
Right.
going in there. I
Yeah.
wasn't even going to go in there and touch anything.
Yes. Yeah. There's homes that I do that I say I'm glad you can't smell things through the photos.
Right. Yeah, that's whoo. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's
Yeah,
crazy
those
some of the
cat
things you
houses.
see. Yep.
So an agent, so as far as, like, how many photos should you have? Like, I mean, it's like, how many's too many and how many's not enough?
So I think um, for a typical size home, I mean, what, maybe 2,000 to 4,000 square feet,
Right.
20 to 30 is plenty. Because I
Right.
think the main objective, I believe, is we just want to get people interested to go out and look at the house. So
Right.
you show every corner, every aspect of the house. There's no reason for them to really go out. You want to kind of wanting to see more.
Right.
So I try to keep it limited and get the main rooms, a few views, the outside, get
Right.
an idea of what the area is like, the neighborhood. But you want them to go, coming back for more.
Right. And I agree with that. That's the way the old ads used to be.
Right.
Honey, stopped a car, hardwood
Yeah.
floors, things like that. Have a nice photo, and then the caption says hardwood floors. So back when we used to use the magazine ads, and I was an agent at the time, I was actually running a team. I won a contest in my coaching program. So, but we'd run the magazine ad. And
Right.
so I had over 600 inbound calls in a 30-day period, because all I ran were, like, just to qualify to be in the ad, I had to have a good looking photo exterior. And I didn't even put the geography or anything,
Right.
fenced yard, a nice house, and that was it. The 800 number to call capture. So, but that was the same thing. I had them wanting more,
Right.
because the idea on advertising is, for every piece of information you give, you eliminate people. So geography eliminates people that don't want to be in that area or want to be in another area, whatever. Price
Right.
eliminated people. Now, obviously, they already know the price and the geography of the house. They're looking at the inside of it, but you want to tease them to come in. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. So,
Yeah. Say I'm still old school, so I'm minimalist. It's like
right,
there's so much technology out there that you can use, which is great. I mean, everything has a purpose, right? It's like
right,
video walkthroughs, drones, 360 photo walkthroughs. But from my experience is people don't want to spend a lot of time having to go through photos and videos while
no,
they're looking for a house. Maybe when they find the house they really like,
then
they'd
they
love
would,
to get
right.
more information. So
No, I
I
agree with that.
I think the main goal is just to get them interested. You know, for the thing I've learned is when people are scrolling through listings of homes, that the elevated photos and twilight photos, nighttime photos, those pop out the most. Those seem to get the most hits.
Right.
Because they stand out from the others.
Right. Yeah, the twilight photos look nice. You know, you can only do what, one or two of those a day, right?
Correct. Yep. And in the summer, it's like 10 o'clock at night.
Oh yeah, I didn't even
Kids are
think
trying
of
to go to
that.
bed. Yeah.
Yeah,
Trying to
right.
get kids to bed, and you're taking pictures outside with all the lights on.
Right, right.
That's fun. But other than that, yeah, I love doing
Well, and then wintertime is like, all right, I got to be there by 4:30, you
it.
know?
Right. Yep. Yeah.
I never even thought of that. Yeah, at 9:30, quarter to 10 at night, you're still out there working.
Done many.
I guess that's the nature of the beast, right?
Yes.
So, so elevated and twilight photos, they pop off the screen the most, huh?
Yeah, just because it's different. It's like you're looking at all these street view homes,
Right.
like house after house after house, and then you get one that's a different perspective. It's up higher, or you know, those lights.
Right.
They just really stand out, and it's like gets people's attention.
Yeah, that's kind of like the handwritten yellow signs nailed to the telephone pole, you know?
Right. Yeah.
You drive down Fort Union Boulevard, you have all these signs. You don't remember any of them because you're just tuning them out. And then you see this ugly yellow pole. An investor apprentice want it, you know? That's the same principle, you know. I call it static and visual white noise.
Right.
You know, when you're
Yeah.
clicking through. And I agree, like when I look at houses online, you know, I just want to click, 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 you know. There's certain things I want to look at, you know, and part of it is, I guess, you know, being in the industry for 30 plus years, I already know what it looks like. I just need to see if they've destroyed the house or if they took care of it, you know. Then did they update the kitchen and bathrooms, you know? But like a living room, carpet and paint on the walls, I mean, whatever. So, you know,
Yep.
so says my battery's getting low on my headset. So if you stop to hear me, just let me know and I'll switch over to microphone. So the do's are, you know, obviously universal light bulbs is good. So that's a really good tip for sellers. Universal light bulbs, meaning all of them in the same, you know, as best you can.
Right. Yeah, because you know bathrooms have different fixtures that don't accept, you know, the LEDs or whatever. So,
Right.
but yeah, the best you can, right?
Right. Yeah. But all your light bulbs, yeah, you can get LEDs everywhere. Like I said, I have LEDs in every room except for my kitchen has some fluorescence.
Yeah.
You know, even my garage is LED.
Yeah.
So, and so that's a really good tip. Obviously, declutter and, you know, be ready, like you said. You know,
Yes.
yeah, I mean, I guess sitting around a few times would get me to adjust my contract to say, there's a sitting around fee that you've agreed to, you know?
Right. I mean, there's been houses where I put dishes in the dishwasher just because they were up on the counters, left on the tables, and it's like I
Right.
don't do that anymore. But you know, when I
No,
started out, I'd help people move furniture and you know
right.
try
Well,
to get it going.
I know I showed up at a couple of houses with you where you were doing it, where I ran around in front of you getting
Right.
things like, let me shove things down in the sink, you know, just get back and don't get the stuff in the sink, you know. I'd clear the counter space off, you know, get a clothes basket, move stuff around, then put it all back when you left the
Exactly.
room, you
Yep.
know.
Yep.
Yeah, I've done that. That's always fun, you know. So that's so your major dues are universal light bulbs if you can help it. Obviously, you know, just everything, countertops clear. It's the same thing I tell sellers, you know, you have to depersonalize and declutter.
Yes, that was something I was going to mention. Is also pictures. It's like when you have these big, huge family photos up on the wall.
Right.
Yeah, you probably want to take those down.
Right. Especially if you're ugly, right? It's like, you know, right? It's like, whoa, you know, no, and that's the truth. So, and that's the depersonalize. And I try to tell people, look, a buyer has to see themselves in here. And when it becomes a monument to your life, it's hard for me to visualize me in there,
Exactly.
and that's what it is. So and you have to declutter, and I always told sellers, look, you're moving, so you might as well just start packing a lot of this crap up, get it in boxes, get it in storage.
Right. Yeah. Because I know that they say moving is one of the most stressful things you can do in your life.
Right.
Right? So it's like,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
up there with death, divorce,
yeah, yeah,
Now, the worst part is then when you get somebody go through a divorce and has to move too, it's like, yeah, welcome to real estate clients,
yeah,
you know?
yeah. Those are rough ones to do. Just as a photographer, especially if you have one that doesn't want you there, doesn't want to sell the house.
Right.
Yeah,
Or one, yeah, and you can always tell which one moved out, right?
right. Yes.
If the only thing missing is the big TV, he's moved out. And then if the only thing left is the big TV, then she moved out. Yeah. Yeah, that's always challenging to make those photos look inviting.
Yes. Right.
What about like virtual staging? Uh, have you ever been involved in any of that? I'm sure you know about it.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen it. Um, so again, that's something that you could do. And there's more and more companies now that do editing. I think a majority of the photographers now send their photos out to have someone else edit them because they're just
Got it.
so efficient and fast doing it than ourselves trying to do each one where they've got teams that will
Right.
each take a photo and just work on that one photo and then send it in. They can do it so much faster. Because that is it's hard to show a house and get perspective of the room size when it's completely empty.
Right.
Like, so if you could put something in there, I mean, if it is a completely empty house, virtually stage, it does give an idea.
Right. Yeah, I can look and say, well, if there's a couch on the wall and there's X amount of space on either side of the couch, well, I have an idea of what the room looks like,
Right.
size
Yeah.
wise.
Yeah. If you're looking at a room that's completely empty and looks just like a really long hall, it's like, I have
Right.
no idea.
Yeah, same thing with a bedroom. You could say, well, that's a queen bed, and there's an end table on either side, and there's still space on the other side of each. So that's a pretty decent sized room.
Yep.
Then what about like colors? Like you mentioned, like if there's an orange towel. So what about like, when I used to ask the seller, can you describe it to me? And I'd always ask, tell me about the decor. I would say, is it neutral or more of a personal flair?
Yeah.
Meaning,
Yeah.
did you go in there and paint orange and purple walls?
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
I mean, so what would you say, like, what colors should you paint, that just don't photograph well? I mean, I'm guessing like a deep red.
Yeah. Yeah. Just the dark colors are really hard to light. Um, Even so a good example is log cabins. I do a lot of photos up in Sundance.
Right.
Those, they're dark inside, they're bright outside. You got low lighting with the incandescent, so everything looks really red and orange inside it. So if you so that's one example of, you want brighter colors, and as long as they're brighter colors, dark colors just suck the light out. Like you're using flashes trying to light up a room and it just absorbs lights. And one thing a lot of people don't think of, and getting into painting, that's a whole nother subject probably.
Right.
But these homes, when they paint the ceilings the same color as the walls, and they're like a tan or a beige, it's like
Right.
that flash. We try to use the white ceilings as a big bounce light. So when it's a
Right.
different color, you're actually casting the color of the ceiling, which may be beige, into the whole room. So now the whole room looks yellow and beige and flat. There's no contrast. So that's something I notice a lot. It's a lot of the newer home. Well, fortunately, the newer homes they're going more with whites, with light blues and grays. That seems to be the
Right.
color scheme now. But when I started back the early 2000s, everything was beige and browns, dark.
Right.
It's like they were brutal to photograph. But yeah, just bright colors help.
Right.
They're
So
light.
white ceilings are actually good, huh?
Yes.
I hadn't even thought of that, because, I used to be a house painter. And so if you paint the ceilings and the walls the same paint, the ceiling tends to look lighter when you look at it, but that's different from a photography perspective, because
Yeah,
the natural light of the room hits the ceiling different than it hits the walls. So the ceiling tended to look a little lighter, even though it's the same exact paint.
right.
But with the light bouncing off of it, so when you use it's the wall. Yeah, it's very interesting perspective
Yeah,
of how you look at things.
yeah. And that's a big thing that, with photographers, we kind of have an idea of what it's going to look like in the camera because it
Right,
looks completely different than what we see with our eyes. A lot of
right,
people, I don't think, realize that or think about how, it's like they want a certain angle or, something photographed, and we know it's not going to be, that's a bad shot. But I'll
right,
still do it, and then I can compare it and say, this is what you were thinking, this is what is better, better
right.
angles.
This
But
is what
yeah,
I'm thinking.
yeah, everything's compressed in the photo, so you don't
Right,
have that depth like looking at it with your real eyes.
right.
So things just, yeah,
And
and
that's the
our
same.
yeah, our eyes do the same thing. It's like a room will look good with our eyes, but in a camera, it's really dark or the colors completely off of what our eyes are seeing.
Right. Well, when
So
you're standing in a
it's like,
room, it's 3 dimensional.
right,
Then when you're looking at a photo, it's 2 dimensional.
right, yeah. So you look at
Yeah, it
it,
was the
yeah,
same when I was a house painter. People would be picking out a color. I'd be like,
yeah,
you know,
right,
they're like, "What? You don't like that?" I'm like, "Well, it looks good on a 1 inch square."
yeah, right. Put a full wall.
So what I used to tell them, I'd have, I would go. I said, "Let's pick out a couple, and then, um, and I'll go get a quart of each, and I'll just, paint a big sample on the wall
Right.
and to let it dry, and then you can look,
Yeah.
and you take that big, 4 foot or 5 foot by 5 foot patch. They're like, "Oh yeah, I don't like that,"
Yeah. 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 And same thing. The colors do seem to change too, depending on what side of the house the room is in, the lights
Right,
coming in. So yeah, everything's different.
right.
What we expect.
Yeah, that's interesting. The universal lighting, um, no dark colors, uh, white ceilings if possible. So if the walls and the ceiling are white, then what? I mean, it's just all absorbing the same thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Those actually look really good until you throw an incandescent light bulb in there that's yellow, and then makes
Right,
all the white walls look yellow. So, but fortunately, I mean, we've got editors. We can change the color to make them look the way they're supposed to.
right,
People don't realize how much work that actually takes to do.
right.
'Cause that's another thing that we love is we always hear, well, you can just Photoshop that out, right?
Oh yeah,
Oh,
That's like
yeah,
15 minutes a photo.
yeah. And some things are easy, a little glass maybe that was left on the bathroom sink or something.
Right,
Right? You show up to a house and there's a storage pod sitting in the
right,
driveway. It's like you can
right.
just shoot
Trying to get
around
that
that,
out of the
right?
way. Yeah, right.
So, which does
Yeah,
remind me of another thing of a do is also get all the cars out of the driveways.
yeah. Trash cans.
Trash cans, cars, lawn equipment, always
Right,
have always have stuff laying around that you just don't think about. Hoses unwound,
right.
and like I said, I'll move a lot of stuff, but again, it's just taking more time that we shouldn't have to be doing.
Yeah, within reason.
Right?
If there's a glass on the counter, yeah, just
Yeah, that's
put
easy.
it in the sink.
Exactly.
You know. Yeah, that's pretty. So that's another do. Get rid of the cars. Or the don't leave the cars and the trash
Yeah.
cans in the driveway, right?
Right.
Yeah, because we've all seen those. You know, and it used to be. I'm not mistaken. Was it? No, I was thinking. Didn't the MLS used to go drive by and take the outside photo of one?
What was that?
Might
Sorry.
I'm trying to remember if the MLS, I think, just drove by and
Oh,
took the outside photo, and that was it.
they might have. Yeah, way back.
Because sometimes you'd see
It's-
the raindrops on the window.
Right. Yeah. It was like pre
They,
Google Earth.
yeah, right. They didn't want to roll down their windows, pouring rain
Right.
in.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's funny. So Well, is there anything I'm not asking?
Um, covered the basics, again,
Right.
just, just think of the photographer's time and how much time they need to spend there. They should be able to go in and out pretty quickly. Get the
Right. Because
photos
that's a fraction of the work.
right. Yeah.
I mean,
So,
one, you have to travel to and from. That takes
exactly.
way more time than the photography work.
Right. Yeah, because that's another thing we hear a lot is I don't know why you charge so much. You're just taking pictures, you're just snapping a camera, and it's like, yeah. And if you think about it, yeah, it's
Oh,
travel, it's the and all the equipment. It's like there's a lot of equipment, software, insurance. I mean,
right.
most people know that, but there's just a lot of things that add up that you don't think about that
Right.
photographers have to do.
Yeah.
Stay
Your
on.
affiliation with the board so you can have a key
Yep.
box.
Yep. Just
That
did
costs
that.
money.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. The equipment. I mean, lenses, I'm sure, yeah, I'm sure you have thousands of dollars worth of equipment.
Oh yeah. Yeah. It doesn't take much either nowadays. It's like
No, to get up
everything
top.
is
Yeah.
so expensive.
Yep. Yep. And then what? So primarily used like a wide angle lens, or is that your primary or no?
I do, yeah. I mean, I shoot. So I'm shooting right now with a full frame camera, and I do a 15 to 35 millimeter, so I can zoom in a little bit. Uh,
So,
you don't want that fisheye. That was, when I started, that was the thing. Everyone was trying to get as wide as possible, a 10
right. And you got
millimeter
the
lens,
fisheye look.
and yeah, you get that fishbowl look, and it's like, yeah, that's no good because again, it throws off the perspective of what a room really looks like.
Right.
There are so I don't shoot wide open all the time, but for like the small bathrooms, hall half baths or powder rooms that are really tiny, that
Right.
really need that. But yeah, just a good variable one.
Yeah. Your sound keeps going low. I wonder if it's me.
Oh, sorry.
I'm going to take my headset off it because it was saying low battery.
Okay.
Um, I'll leave the microphone on. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Yeah. So, but anyway, well, that's a lot of great information. This is very, very helpful, so, um, like I said, so did I miss anything? And I think we covered it, like you said, the basics. I mean, I'm sure there's certain topics we could drill down into.
Yeah. Yeah, I have a list of things to prep a home for, and it's like 100 items.
Oh, really?
But I mean, you could cut it down to about 20 at least. The most important.
You should share that with me. I'll share it with everybody. I'll put it on.
Okay.
Yeah, share that with me. Just email it to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for joining us. Well, that was Kevin Nash giving us some insight and tips on photography, kind of a peek behind the curtain of a photographer's world. And thanks for joining us, Kevin. And my name is Rob Aubrey. I'm your host of Productive Agent Podcast. Productive Agent Podcast is sponsored and powered by Aubrey Home Loans. Aubrey Home Loans is known for closing on time, effective communication, and following up on your leads like green on a pickle. So thanks for joining us and have an amazing day.
Thanks, Rob.